Mike Antoniades, welcome to the Virgin London Marathon Expo 2013. Good to talk to you. Really great to talk to you. I'm always fascinated by what you do. And first of all, I think we've got to talk about your flagship store that has recently opened in central London.
Yeah, thanks, Annie. What we did is we teamed up with Sweatshop, who had this great idea of bringing the best of running into a store in London. So it's quite a unique enterprise in the UK. So they've got the Sweatshop store, and then upstairs we have a running school centre, and then there's an altitude centre right next to it, so we can combine the best of all running abilities and conditioning. And then downstairs there's a big gym as well for strength and power.
It's an incredibly comprehensive little setup you've got, or rather massive setup. What kind of runners are you dealing with? Just the kind of guys that go out there, I hate to call them Joe joggers, but you know what I mean, and elite as well? Is it right across the board?
It's right across the board. So yesterday we were working with a 2:17 marathon runner, and alongside people who are running their first marathon and are hoping to break 4.5 hours. So it's across the board. And the thing about running is that it applies to everybody, and you get out of it what you put into it, because it's so specific about the stresses that it has, but also the benefits that it gives you. And we love to work with both recreational, we call everybody an athlete, so recreational athletes or elite athletes, and it's great fun.
And obviously this weekend, it's a massive weekend for marathon runners out there. What are the most common injuries that you come across?
There's 2 or 3 of them that are pretty common. We've got about 50 running in the marathon with this weekend. So probably the major one is anterior knee pain, so knee pain at the patella, and the second one is IT band. Of course, those are the 2 common ones, and they both come from the same reason, in that we're overusing certain muscle groups. So most people tend to run using their big quads and hip flexors, and that's because most people don't know how to run or haven't been taught how to run. And the key to that is how the glutes activate with the hamstrings. So what happens is, if you're running and you're using your front muscles, the quads and the hip flexors, then the hamstring tries to do a different job. So instead of powering you forward, it stabilizes. Okay, that switches off the glute, okay, which is another power muscle. Okay, and then you start getting compensation movement. And through the overuse, 2 main areas of pain at the bottom of the knee, just underneath the patella, and then the IT band, which can be quite painful.
So what would you do first up then if you were dealing with someone who had that common injury problem?
Okay, so treating it is one good thing, but you've got to get to the cause of the problem. And the cause of the problem could be either glute activation with a hamstring, and that's different to strength. So some people need strengthening, others need to activate their glutes with their hamstrings. So we would give them specific exercises and get them to use the posterior chain, which is a great word for using your bum and your hamstrings to propel you forward. What most people do is they shuffle along, okay? So they don't cycle up. When you cycle up your heel, you're activating glutes and hamstrings as well. So if you're in pain, you need to treat the pain first. And then if you've sorted out the pain, now you need to start working on the big power muscles, the glutes and the hamstrings that propel you forward.
Interestingly as well, you said that the guy that you've been working with, who's a 2:16 marathon runner, he's managed to knock a minute 30,
90 seconds off his time, and he had a particular problem on his left glute, and you could see it when we videoed him. We could see that there was a movement across from the IT band to bring the leg around, and he used to get really tight hip flexors on that side and a tight IT band. So what we did, fitness isn't an element with these guys, because they're very fit, they run very fast. So what we did is worked on activation, which took 2.5 weeks. But once we did that, he was able to activate his glutes and his hamstrings, stop compensating and crossing over, and was therefore more efficient, just out of a technique of getting the muscle groups to activate.
Well, it really is fascinating stuff. I'm going to certainly be popping past the store and having a look. Thanks very much, Mike.
Thank you, Annie. Take care.